Welcome back. This is episode 4 of my 2023 Subnautica Survival Mode series. And we left off last time having just made our first sea moth. But before we can really think about doing anything new, we have to catch some fish and deal with our hunger and thirst. So let's bring out the grav trap again.
Seek fluid intake. Oxygen. Welcome aboard, Captain. Vital signs stabilizing.
Something that a lot of new players sometimes take a while to figure out is that fish will basically keep in perpetuity if you don't cook it. So storing uncooked fish is fine in your locker. It's only if you cook it that it starts to spoil rapidly. So the best strategy really is to only cook what you actually need to consume at any given moment. Okay, now we have our compass that automatically shows us our bearing, which can be helpful when we have clues about a location but not the actual coordinates. So nothing is showing up in our beacon manager. Sometimes we'll have clues from LifePod distress messages but not the actual coordinates. So the compass can definitely help in those situations. All right, enough organizing food and inventory. Let's put away our grav trap for now and set out in our new Seamoth on a new mission of some kind. Now, having played Subnautica a few times before, I know that I would like to go to the floating island roughly south of the Aurora, where we can get some essential habitat blueprints, such as the multi-purpose room, as well as various garden planters for growing crops. Now, if you're familiar with the game, you may be familiar with how to get to this floating island with or without a compass, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set out towards the cloudy, hazy mist that's in a roughly southerly direction behind the Aurora. But what you may not know, even if you've played the game for a while, is that you are actually led to the floating island by traveling to LifePod 19. So if you actually have LifePod 19 in your beacon manager and you're unsure of where the floating island is, you can just go to beacon 19, or sorry, LifePod 19, and once you're there, go straight up to the surface, and you will be able to see the island simply by doing that. And here we are already, quite a fast trip in the Seamoth if you know where you're going. Now there's a few ways to get ashore. As a floating island, you can go underneath and then up into a hidden lagoon, or you can simply park near one of the coastal beaches. But whatever you do decide, it is really important not to get too close to the land with the Seamoth, because it can get grounded and stuck. So it's safest to park at least 10 meters offshore just to avoid, losing your Seamoth that way.
Picking up multiple energy signatures on the island's surface.
On the island itself, you're going to want your knife for gathering seeds and plant samples, or for fending off land crabs, which are more of an annoyance than a real threat. And you're going to want your scanner for various blueprints, and the flashlight will also be handy if and when it gets dark. There's basically 3 different settlement structures to investigate on this island. 2 of them are observatories that are on the tops of adjacent mountains. And one of them is an agricultural post in the valley between these 2 observatories. So each of these sites has unique blueprints, as well as some supplies, data boxes, and PDA recordings from past survivors. So you're going to want to go to all 3 of them while you're here. But it looks like the sun is going down fairly quickly. I think probably what I'll do is I'll get up here into the valley and then pass a little bit of time off camera just to get some light again so you can see better. Okay, now that it's daylight again, we can scan some of the plant life. Here's the bulbo tree, which is one of the really good food crops. You can get the information on the different things you scanned in your PDA in the databank tab, and it will tell you if a resource is exploitable and can be used for food or crafting. So it's always good to check those descriptions out when you have a moment.
New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired. Integrating the PDA data. blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired. Integrating new PDA data. Integrating new PDA data.
Okay, so just in the one central outpost in the middle of the two mountains there, we've already found numerous new blueprints. The exterior grow bed for planting crops, the stasis rifle, the multi-purpose room, and with the multi-purpose room, at least since the relatively recent update, the large room as well. Wall planters, the spotlight, the bulkhead, which is a really important blueprint for your underwater base's stability, for its integrity. We found a data bank with the ultra glide fins, found a free battery, and so on. Just in that one alone. So heading on up to the top of one of the mountains, to one of the observatories, we find other blueprints, like the interior grow bed and the observatory itself.
New blueprint acquired. New blueprint acquired.
And now we just need to follow the path across the valley to the observatory on the other opposing mountaintop for a couple additional blueprints that are not found anywhere else. And here we have these small plant pots, which are quite nice for planting crops when you don't want to use up, you know, a large space with one of the large grow beds. The smaller plant pots let you kind of strategically place your agricultural crops, sometimes in more confined areas. So they're quite nice for certain purposes. And there you have it. That's those are the basic blueprints that we needed to get on the floating island, and we're more or less in a position now to return home and build a new base where we want to actually set up more of a permanent location. But before we do that, we want to make sure we have all the crops, the food crop seeds or samples that we're going to need in order to really start farming properly. So we want to make sure we have one of each of the things that we need to plant.
Welcome aboard, Captain. Welcome aboard, Captain.
Now, this is just our Noob Shallows starter base, which I don't really want to do much additions to. I'll throw down maybe a couple small planters and put a couple crops down, mostly just because I need to make space in my own inventory. But also just to have a food source here near the life pod. But really what I want to do is I want to haul all of our resources that I've gathered so far to some new location where I want to build a real main base, a main home that's going to be in a location that has more room to expand. Okay, so what do we need in terms of resources to get started at a new location? At minimum, I want to lay down a multi-purpose room. I need a hatch to get in, a solar panel to power it, and maybe something, for a storage locker to begin to transfer all the resources over from here to there. And a bit of titanium for planters to get the crops started. All right, so the only thing left to decide is where to build our new base. I kind of like the area to the north here. That's sort of the reddish grassy valley because it has a lot of depth to it. You can build up or down, and it's quite open. So there's lots of room to use the local geography and imagine any kind of base that you want to build. This rocky precipice here seems like a good spot to put our sort of main hub and build outward in a radius around that, because it has this wide open valley in most of the west, east, and north sort of sides to expand into. Lots of space for vehicles down the road if you want to build your Cyclops submarine. You've got this huge valley to the north. So lots of potential for expansion, however you see fit.
It may be prudent to separate work and leisure spaces to maximize productivity. Treat this space as your home, but never forget that it is not. Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased. Seconds.
Power restored. All primary systems online.
Okay, so we found a lot of new blueprints on the floating island, and we picked a spot for our new permanent home. And we built the central hub, the multi-purpose room here, for our new home. So after putting down some new planters to get some of our crops started, this is probably a good logical spot to end this episode. Next time, we're probably going to need to work on the new base a little bit to get it up to snuff, add some storage lockers, do some inventory organizing, that sort of thing. But who knows what else at that point. So, but this is a good place to end things off. We will have new adventures in the next episode. Until then, safe travels.
Seconds.
Okay, we've got our bulbo trees planted, so this time, for real, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next episode. Okay. Black Cat Red River, signing off.
Welcome aboard, Captain.